All right, and last but not least, let's talk about Killers of the Flower Moon.
Sure.
Can
I am
I?
so excited to talk about this, right? And don't worry,
I
Tracy, I know you didn't see it, but
Yeah,
we'll keep things as spoiler free as
but
possible, right? Because we want you to
no,
be a
no,
part
no,
of
no, that's
this
fine because the more
discussion.
information I hear from you guys, I mean, it's just more excited that I will be to go inside. I mean, it's Martin Scorsese anyhow,
I
so
know.
that's the thing.
I genuinely thought there was a time, like I genuinely thought that I would never get to see, because after they botched Silence's release, and then after the
Yeah,
Irishman
right.
went to and then after the Irishman went to was a Netflix film.
Yeah.
I was convinced that I wasn't going to be able to see a Scorsese film in theaters.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that was the end of Scorsese's
And
period.
you know, I don't know if Matthew have to make the rant, but I have to make the rant too.
Go ahead.
They did not show it in my local close cinema, so I had to like go a little further. That kind of pissed me off a little bit. I had to make a little extra trek. I mean, it's not a big trek, but it is a trek nonetheless. The mere fact that I want to live in my 15-minute city, guys, come on.
Right?
Yeah. But good thing you bring it up, Ricardo, right? Because we are to get into a brief little mini rant, right? So I'll start with mine, Ricardo. You could expound on yours if you want, right? But yeah, similar to you, Ricardo. This did not show at the local theater, if you will, right? At least the cinema that's the closest to me. So I had to go all the way down to Port of Spain to see this, right? I had to go to Movie Town to see this, right? IMAX, which is so strange, right? It's so ironic because we just talked about the Era Store. So they're running that basically in the afternoon, right? And then they only have one screening of Killers of the Flower Moon, which is 8:30, right? And I had a choice. I was like, all right, I could watch this because it's closer to my workplace, right? But I'm like, it's a Saturday night in Port of Spain, right? Everybody's out Lyman, and I'm here, probably going to be the only person inside that cinema watching this movie for 3.5 hours. So I was like, all right, let me just go to Movie Town where it's, I actually don't have to worry about, falling asleep on the show or having to hold my piss, for longer than I should, right? And I'll talk about that in my review of that, right? But yeah, boy, this brings up a really serious problem for me, and I imagine seeing it with Ricardo, about just like the accessibility of these films, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's 3.5 hours, and you want to think numbers, right? Like, oh well, people are not gonna sit down to watch this. I mean, the Taylor Swift film is like what, 2.5 hours, a little change. Okay, that's fine. But I don't think people are gonna sit down to watch a drama from Martin Scorsese. But it's Martin friggin' Scorsese, right? That's the point, right? It's when was the last time that we saw a film from him theatrically, right? Look, The Irishman did not come out theatrically. We saw it on Netflix, right? So at the very least, even if it's just for a week, show it in all theaters. And if you don't get the numbers, if people don't show up, then you take
Exactly.
it, right?
Well, I find it. In my case,
that's last point.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
But don't assume that because a select type of people will go see it. All right, let's leave it at this spot, or let's keep it to the west, or let's keep it in this area of the south and not in that other area of the south. You know what I mean? Because it just sounds very this kind of comes off very egregious in my opinion, right? But whatever, we saw it. Don't mind we had to spend extra money to see it. I spent way more money than I expected, but I'll share my thoughts on it. But yeah, Ricardo, take it away. Yeah.
What no? In my case, I find it particularly obnoxious because it's the same people, same company, so they show it up north, right? In the same thing,
Right.
and yet they'll hold it back in the same theaters down south. And in my humble opinion, for no good reason. It's like, dude, if it's not showing down south, then you could stop showing it. But it should show at the same time. Because they have it advertised, technically. It's just it coming soon. They did the same thing with Oppenheimer. I'm like, what the hell? I'm supposed to see, put it out in the first week. If it don't have the legs, then drop it. I get that. But they do the opposite now, which I really find goddamn annoying. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
Moving on.
But rants aside, yes, yeah, moving on. Local cinemas, get your shit together, right? People will come to see these films.
Yeah,
right?
have our audience.
Yes.
Yes.
This has been the year that it has proved that
who love film.
we need and we need more than just the regular blockbusters. All of the big blockbuster superhero films, except for Guardians 3, underperformed this year.
And not only underperformed, but badly underperformed.
Badly,
very bad. Not even close here.
Every single one. Meanwhile, Oppenheimer, Barbie, The Eras Tour, and now Killers of the Flower Moon have all been doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yes.
people have spoken.
Yeah.
Yes, and don't say, oh, it's an American thing or North American thing. Sorry, no, sure. There are people in Trinidad that will go see it. You can leave it for a week, 4 week here, but people will go and see it, right? Anyway, I'm
Right.
done with that. I'm done with that, right? So yes, folks, this is the newest release from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Martin Scorsese, at age 80, right? Dropping this film, right? And this is right after the Irishman, which was dropped on Netflix, which I absolutely enjoyed as well, right?
Yeah, great.
But I will compare those two films in my review, right? Because the big concern with this film, even for myself too, is the 3.5 hour runtime, or I should say 3 hour and 36 minute runtime, right? 3 hour and 36 minute runtime, right? If it's justified, one, and if it's worth the ticket price to see it theatrically, because the question a lot of people have is, should I go and see this theatrically, or should I wait whenever it comes out on Apple TV and see it there, and I could pause whenever and get whatever and bathroom breaks and do that, right? Because that's what I did when I saw The Irishman. I took my a couple of bathroom breaks here or there, but I still was in tune with what was going on. I love the film, right? But in this case, though, I took the risk, as Ricardo and Cece did. Yeah, saw it theatrically. Didn't want to buy the popcorn and the soda, but I did, and I'll talk about that in my review, right? But yeah, CC, take it away. What is Killers of the Flower Moon about?
So, in the kind of 1910s,
20s. Yeah.
Actually, before then, because there's a little context needed. The Osage,
Okay, right, no problem.
yeah,
Right.
the Osage Reservation in Oklahoma. Oil was discovered on the Osage Reservation in Oklahoma. The Osage are, for people who do not know and have not seen this movie yet, they are an indigenous people, one of the numerous Native American indigenous people groups. So because oil was discovered on their land, they had access to a level of wealth that most reservations do not, and did not, and to this day do not have access to. And so the culture developed in a very particular way. And so you got to see what wealthy indigenous life would actually look like. You got I've always loved a lot of the photos and everything from that time period where you see Osage, you see this combination of Osage fashion and 1920s fashion as that wealth continued to sustain them into the 20s.
Right.
But around the late 1910s into the 1920s, a series of murders started happening on Osage land. And most of for every single one there was none of them were originally none of them were investigated. They were all shady as fuck. And the movie does a good job showing this, as the murders progressed, they got more and more blatant. We're talking about people dropping dead or dying for other things, to a house being blown up. And eventually, this led to a newly formed federal agency known as the Federal Bureau of Investigations, to be sent in to try and, at the behest of the Osage, were sent in to try and solve the murders. And they ended up, and not getting into spoilers. So this is essentially the real life history behind the movie. It was made into a true crime. It was written as a true crime novel. Scorsese, of the same name, Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese picked up the rights to adapt it around the time he was in post or distributing The Irishman. He picked up the rights to the book and worked with oh goodness, I'm trying to remember the name, and worked with a particular screenwriter to adapt it to film. But then
that would be Eric Roth.
Eric Roth, thank you. And he worked with Eric Roth to make a film. But then, because he decided, being Scorsese, he wanted to shoot it on Osage land, and he wanted to shoot it in cooperation with the Osage. And when he did, he opened the film up to them and said, "Hey, we want to get this right." And I think he even has said in a couple recent interviews, he was like, like as much as he liked the book, he felt that it was very preoccupied with the white male FBI agents investigating the case and the white men.
Yeah, he changed your point of view, yeah.
Yes, and so once the Osage were brought on, and I think even in the original draft, the main point was to shift the perspective from the white men perpetrating the crimes or the white men investigating it to the Osage people who were the victims of this attempted genocide. Like, I mean, it didn't happen all at once, but it was definitely a conscious effort because, I mean, the movie, like, not getting into spoilers, but the movie does reveal that, yes, the murders are very real and they are very much a carefully orchestrated plot to take the wealth away, because essentially you have a series of the film does a great job, in my opinion, of showing that, like, it's one of those rare, like, you see the almost bizarre image of, like, wealthy Osage, getting off the train station and having, like, poor white chauffeurs competing with each other to see who can get, like, a tip, and it's like, it's almost like another planet at that point, given from like most of the rest of the history. And there's a lot of white resentment of that wealth. There's a lot of idea, and Scorsese does not flinch from the racism and the hatred and the xenophobia at all. There's this genuine sense of, we are the ones who deserve this wealth. We are the ones who all this oil money should be going to. And so this is a very carefully crafted genocide. At the core of it is this relational story between an indigenous woman named Molly and this man, Ernest, who they do, like he courts her, they get into a relationship, they get married, and they have children together. But he, again, not getting too much into it, and because I think the film does a brilliant job of playing certain things ambiguous until towards the end. His level of culpability in what is going on is really interesting, and like how involved he is or not involved, but like how much he thinks he's involved, or maybe I should say how he thinks his actions are justified. That is the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Robert De Niro plays his uncle William Hale, who will probably go down as like one of the best cinematic villains in recent memory.
In a while, yes. I thought Robert De Niro was very good in this.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Like, you hate this man by the end of, like,
yeah, for real.
One of De Niro's best performances, but one of his best villain roles. Like, I was trying to think, like, I'm trying to remember the last, I love Irishman. Yeah, he's really good in that. I really like his villain performance in Cape Fear as well. Another Scorsese collaboration. I was waiting
to see that. Mm-hmm.
Another Scorsese collaboration is fantastic. But in this movie, he's terrifying, and he's despicable and absolute. Like, you hate this man so much, and then but everyone in the film, from the cast to Scorsese himself, and I think most critics, and like I agree, the revelation in this film is Lily Gladstone as Molly.
Yeah, she's very good in this film.
She, oh my god, I cannot remember the last time I saw an actor who could do so much acting with their eyes, like so much of the like performance and so much of the acting. So yeah, 3.5 hours. The film starts as more of like, you see this relationship develop between these two, with the murders going on in the background and getting more and more sinister. And then like the last, I want to say, hour of it,
that's
where
when
it kind of.
When Jesse Plemons come here.
Yes, Jesse Plemons as the head of the FBI investigation into the murders. That's when it really that's when it becomes more of an investigation.
It have a bunch of like cameos at this point.
Oh my god!
One in particular that caught, imagine everyone who saw it here by surprise, though. I don't want to spoil it, right?
Right.
But
I know.
Like, oh my god, you in this?
Are we talking about the defense lawyer or the prosecutor?
Both of them.
The defense. More the attorney than the prosecutor. But the attorney.
Yes.
Holy shit, you?
I heard he was involved, and I was floored. How, like, I mean, I knew he was a good actor, but like, I never thought I'd get to see him work with Martin Scorsese. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Wow. But yeah, continue.
No, I thought you were gonna. That's so. In a nutshell, that's what the film's about. It's Scorsese and the Osage and Eric Roth do a great job of taking what was essentially like a straightforward true crime procedural and turning it into a pretty fucked up relational story. Like Scorsese, I was watching an interview with Scorsese and the chief of the Osage people. They were talking about the film promotion video, and they were talking about how Scorsese always saw the relationship between Ernest and Molly as kind of a microcosm for the relations between white and indigenous America, especially in this situation. And I think so the film works on both of those levels in a fabulous way, but yes, if other people want to go into their thoughts, I need to be stopped before I just gush.
All right. Well, okay. So in this particular case, I want to close off this review here. So, CC, you could just give your final thoughts and rating, then Ricardo do his, and then I'll jump in.
Okay. One thing, a couple other things that I really, oh my god, absolutely loved about this movie. The way the violence, Scorsese is really in his autumnal period, you know, like that period of any great artist when they're like much older, and the way in which they approach their art is really interesting. Like Miller's in this phase as well, and he's turning out some of the best work of his career. Kurosawa in this time of his life was making films like Ron, so like that's kind of where we're at.
Love Ron,
and that's where
I kind of have it up there as the best Kurosawa film, but that's
really is. It really is like. I
kind of love that movie so much, but yeah.
Scorsese is really in that like late stage part of his career, and it's interesting to see that despite being an artist at the peak of his craft, this man is on an absolute winning streak. Like, even if Wolf of Wall Street is a debatable subject. I know most people like it, and I will give them that. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest fan personally, but that's like a personal.
It's a loaded film.
I understand.
It's a loaded film, knowing what I know about the background of the movie and how it was funded.
Yes,
that's the problem with it for me. But if I were to just ignore all of that, it's not bad.
But I'm trying to think of a filmmaker who's had a run of good films like Silence, Irishman, Killers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that is a strong 3-film streak for me. Like that is a strong 3-film streak for me. Like that, and they're all like Scorsese has gotten like he's not quite as frenetic as he was earlier in his career, maybe, but a lot of his work has this slower pace to it. It's got this calm. Until it doesn't. Like it's got a lot of like these calmer compositions. It's got like this. These are films that are all painfully human, like shockingly painfully human. The absolute, like the way in which they're composed, the way in which they're made. His choice of music at this stage in his career is really interesting to me. There's a use of Dark as the Night, Cold as the Grave by Blind Willie Johnson. That's the track that drops during that one fire scene. If you remember that sequence.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know Scorsese loves the blues, and I lost my mind when I heard that track, but it works with that scene so well. I don't know, like there's something about. Some people have already been posting and sharing like some of the photos and like historical footage that they recreate for the movie directly compared with the real stuff it's based on, and the attention to detail is absolutely shocking. Like it's absolutely, the texture of it is so good. I love how it never gets too far from the true crime part of it, especially towards the end, like the very, very end of the movie. You know what I mean? Like the. Like the bit that like right after
love that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was so clever.
That is so good. It is so clever. It's so because it's acknowledged. It feels like it's kind of acknowledging the true crime like roots of the source material, but it's also maybe kind of winking at some of the shortcomings of true crime to tell these types of stories a little bit.
Yeah, the framing of it is great. Yeah, I love what he did there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And at certain someone makes like another cameo, which is funny, but yeah.
That cameo is fantastic.
Yes.
Lost my mind again. Oh god. That was that absolutely fabulous. And then I think the only The other note, the note I'm going to leave on, obviously I jump in when you guys are talking, but like the one note I want to leave on before my rating is I love that despite everything that happens, it's ultimately a story about survival more than it is a story about tragedy. Like, this is a story about an atrocity, don't get me wrong. And I really love the fact that the film takes a moment to remind us of what was going on in the wider United States at one point with and also what was also happening in the state of Oklahoma at around the same time at that one point where they make a little nod to Tulsa.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, this was and is kind of a wider problem in the United States at the time. Like, this isn't like this isn't kind of like isolated genocide. These types of atrocities are being committed all over the country, in a variety of different ways. But ultimately, this is a story about survival. Like, this isn't. I was like, of course, whenever you see a movie about a historical tragedy, you're always worried, or an atrocity of anything. You're always worried this is going to be tragedy porn, right? Like, you're worried that like like you always are a little worried that it's like, okay, this is the part where we feel bad about the things that happened, and like, you know, we get to have a nice little bit of historical distance and go, well, that was the past, and like, thank God we're more civilized now. But this is a great moment to just kind of feel sad. Spike Lee did a pretty good job of dodging that as well when he did Black Klansman with that ending. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But additionally, this is ultimately a film about survival. It's a film about it's a film about the struggle for survival and how hard it is to continue. Like, it's a story about the fight against greed and like how absolutely monstrous greed can be. And it's, I don't know, like it's just like, it's a tale. It's like, especially that last shot, like that last pan shot right before the credits, you know, the one I'm talking about. It feels ultimately like it frames the film as, this is a tale of survival. This is a tale of atrocity. This is a tale of genocide, but this is a tale of people doing their best to survive in spite of all that is happening around them, in addition to being absolutely
right. I'm gonna make a point. I'm gonna bring up that final shot in my review. Right. Not gonna spoil anything, but I'm gonna bring it up. Right. But yeah, go on.
But no, for me, this is gonna be anyone who knows anyone who knows that I've been on this channel for a few years knows that my end of the year lists are generally mostly older films I discovered, but then also some new films. This is going to be a year in a while where my top, like my best film of the year is going to be a really hard choice, because this is another 10 out of 10 for me. This is another absolute perfect movie for me, and the fact that we're getting so many of these brilliant historical films at the moment has actually been absolutely... I kind of suspected we were going in this direction when The Last Duel came out a couple of years ago, which is a film that I still contend is an absolute masterpiece. But this year we got Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and then later we're getting Napoleon.
Right.
Like, I'm...
Well, for Tracy, who's been quiet, there's Barbie.
No, like a Barbie 2. Like, Barbie 2 was awesome.
Barbie is very historical. I will put that out there one time.
No,
I mean,
yeah, no, like, so... yeah. Go ahead.
No, finish, CC. I just have like one random thing that has little to do with, but at the same point in time, something, but after.
No, 10 out of 10. Guillermo del Toro said on Twitter a few months ago that Martin Scorsese is the greatest living American filmmaker. And I think the thing about that sentence... Yeah. I think the thing about that statement is that there is not a single American filmmaker who would dispute it, except maybe Scorsese himself. And then there was a review on Letterboxd that I absolutely loved that was like, can Scorsese just make movies forever, please? Because they just... And I'm like, yeah, I want to live in a world where Scorsese just makes movies, because I haven't had a problem with them, and I really want more. I need more. I want more. The fact that he recently was saying, like, you know, I think I'm finally getting to the point where I might want to start slowing down. I'm like, you are in your masterpiece era. You can't slow down, please. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, absolute masterpiece. I will be thinking about this one for a long time, and I look forward to this new age of, like, intelligent, widely released historical dramas that are maybe nice, juicy runtime. Because I like long movies.
Nice. Tracy, you want to bring up the point now or later?
No, I'll just say this on a side because I'm seeing the thing about living on Twitter is you get to see the good and the absolute horrid. So
Yes.
I'm seeing one or two people on the right starting to talk about, Martin is doing his quote first political film and how political the film is and blah blah blah.
You
And
can say Armand White.
Armand White. Armand White is such trash. Holy shit, dude.
Oh my
bro.
god.
Oh my god.
Listen,
This is what- I cannot
and
believe a post like that is like that, Dread.
I'm sitting there thinking, wait, hold on, this is the man who gave us The Last Temptation of Christ.
You know?
Yes.
And when that
Thank you.
movie came out, what that did for
That is the last movie that get banned in Trinidad, you know.
Really?
Oh, it is? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
And I think it still remains the most controversial film of all time, even though there's content-wise worse films than that.
Oh yeah.
So, with that in mind, we talk about like the intelligence and that kind of stuff. I really hope that people, get off their soapboxes and their high horses or whatever, and just go and see. Not everything has to either be like big splashy, CGI something. One and two, not everything has to be. Oh, this is not making me feel comfortable. It's history. It's not supposed to necessarily make you feel comfortable. It's supposed to make you think. It's supposed to make you be like, maybe we, not continue down this path, because even though that was one story, the path is still something that we're on. So to sit there and suddenly be like Martin Scorsese is woke or he's doing his political films, these are the things that annoy me. So I just wanted to put that out there to tell people, stop that, stop it. And as for length, just stop it. I grew up, as for the length, I grew up watching, I always tell people this, I grew up watching, anybody who lives in Trinidad knows on a Sunday afternoon you have from 12 to 4 or 5 is a 4-hour Bollywood movie. So
Thank you.
to sit down and you see a 3-hour, and then of course Easter you have 10 Commandments, which was not 1 hour. So, I kind of grew up with that. So when I hear people, like I would hear critics talking about, my God, this movie is 3 hours. What am I supposed to do? And I'm sitting there on Twitter watching these things, and I'm like, So that was me. I still am going to go. I'm going to go once I clear up all the crap happening here. I'm going to go in and take it in because that needs to be seen on a screen. And so thank God for multiplexes. But yeah, that's me. The end.
Right. So before I talk about the film, Ricardo, your thoughts and written.
Yeah, we'll talk about the length, because my thing with length is that length have to serve a purpose and not be fat, right? And yes, I do think this film is a little too long, to be honest, right? Mostly with the first 2 hours, I felt they could have trimmed some of that, not too much, but trim some of it just to have it flow a little better, because nothing to do with the objective conceit about length or anything like that. It's just, it need to flow better. That's all I feel about that. But once Jesse Plemons comes in, I was hooked for that last hour, and the investigation and the trial is great. And then the last piece of that framing piece they do at the ending, I just thought was just absolutely brilliant. With that final little cameo, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. That was like a great little glottal stop to the end of the film, and it makes it work so well. So the actual criticisms, if anything, I felt Leo was kind of the weak link here, right? So it's not that he was bad or anything, right? Not that. But what happened is that he was playing against De Niro. And what happened is that De Niro completely disappeared into his role. I wasn't thinking Robert De Niro at all. But with Leo, I wasn't getting that. And I couldn't help but notice it. I was noticing Leonardo DiCaprio and this monster, right? So that's the thing. In fact, Leonardo DiCaprio felt more like an adult version of Annie Grape almost. Like, the person he was playing. Yeah, it felt something like that. But yeah,
just to cut you there. Sorry about that, right? And I promise you can intervene in my review, right?
Yes.
I feel it's because we kind of identify Leo to display these I don't want to say stern, but like every time you see him in a film, he always looks stressed out. He always look burned by something.
Right.
So it's like he's playing that type of character again now. But like as you said, compared to
No, I
De
mean
Niro,
he,
right?
he
Who's playing
feels.
a
I mean,
villain,
I should
loses
use
himself in
Artie
the role,
Grip. No, I say Artie Grip is a bit extreme, but he felt like Dalton, right? From Once Upon a Time in Tig, right?
Oh, in
Yeah.
In Hollywood, in Hollywood.
No, in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
He felt like just a slightly dumber version of that dude. Like it's that. So I couldn't help but again, I was watching it and he playing against Robert De Niro. I know who Robert De Niro is, but when I watching this figure, right, it's like that not Robert De Niro, that is Hale. Right, that is Hale. That I mean, Robert De Niro was lost into the role. But with Leo, I didn't get that. That's all I was seeing. Not a thing.
Yeah, no.
The actress who played Molly Lynn, what's her name?
Lily Gladstone.
Lily Gladstone, right?
Lily Gladstone.
She was absolutely brilliant. Loved it in this, as you mentioned, how to act with eyes.
Yes.
Because she was the to me the kind of the moral core of the whole thing.
Yes.
The moral figure of it and what they do with the conceit of it. And yeah, she's just absolute like I just really loved her in this, and I thought she was just such a great like revelation in this to me. I forget what she was in before. She was in something before. It's slipping my mind right now.
She's in the second season of Reservation Dogs.
Right. That's all. I'm trying to think what she was in. That's slipping my mind.
Couple different films.
First Cow. That's what she was. That's what I remember from.
Right. Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Right. That's what I remember from off the top of my head. But yeah, I just I thoroughly loved her in this. She was good, and it just the entire story and why it works so well, because it does the Scorsese stuff, right? It really feels like a kind of like old timey Goodfellas at parts, right? It's just a history of the crime. They frame it backwards from a different perspective from the book, which is a very good call, and they make it genuinely sympathetic and just dark and sad, but it still have a playfulness, a dark playfulness to the whole thing that makes it work now. There's a lot of like good, surprisingly humorous parts. There's something involved with a paddle, that's all I'll say.
Yes!
That shit had me cracking up. But it was like, they're real dark though, like where going for. But go ahead, sorry.
Did you say you read the book?
No, I haven't read the book in its detail. I'm familiar with the story. Like I'm very familiar with the story, but I never actually sat down and read the book for myself. But I know I've done a lot of research and extra stuff, but to sit down and actually read the book myself, didn't do that. No.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I'm curious how much it deviates from the book.
No, it's just mostly from framing, like just whose story is being told. Because when Plemons comes in, that's where the book is like the real meat of the book, to be honest. Like what they do is they retell it and flip the mirror backwards now. So to who watching it, from what perspective you're watching it. Yeah, that's about it. As I said, overall, just really good stuff. Good character actors. Again, couple good guest spots that I really love at the end, especially the two lawyers. Great shit.
My God.
Yeah.
Like that was brilliant.
What to do with the last piece involving Leo's character, and there's him just making a final decision on that last testimony. It was such a solid scene, and they make it work for what it was. And then just to come and recontextualize it with what ultimately happens to Molly, and what happened to Hale, like his final fate. It is like, okay, well, I mean, and it just very sobering, but they make it work for what it is in the context of Oklahoma. We mentioned Tulsa because they show the newsreel, that section, and it borderline feel like there's kind of taking down notes almost, like what's going on there. But yeah, I thoroughly love this movie. I don't love this as much as Silence. Not as good as Silence. I don't think so. But I do prefer it to The Irishman, and but I put this really high up in Scorsese's catalog. I just thought this was really, really excellent. How it comes together, flows together, and just I don't know. I just think Robert Downey. Sorry, you want to say Robert Downey? Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro and Robert Downey they could clash for best supporting because they were so good in this. He was so good in this.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I feel like they might be clashing for Oscars for best supporting. There's these sneaky, schemy, old white men, scheming in the background. But yeah, this was excellent. I really,
Oh, yeah.
really thoroughly love this. How it just comes together and really, really works. Yeah, so rating. I give this like a 9 out of 10, closer to a 10, but it's a high 9, not perfect. I have little nitpickiness, mostly with having to chop up the film and editing stuff. That's about it. And I felt Leo's performance not bad, but just somehow just slightly disappoint me. That's how I feel about it. But nothing too to say, well, Leo is trash or nothing. But yeah, CC, go ahead.
Well, no, I feel like that directly comes from like who he's playing. Like, it's the kind of performance that like would be decent in most other movies, but given the people he's playing against in most, like almost all of his scenes, he's either opposite De Niro or Gladstone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I was worried. I was worried when in the first hour, so I was worried. Wow, was Leo miscasting this? What was going on here, boy? Like it was because that first couple hours was kind of a little worried about what's going on. But the last hour and where that whole arc comes in, especially there's a scene where he just kind of has to effectively like confess to her about what was going on, like what, like him having to stay outright open. Everything had to come out to the open in the end, and him just having to fulfill like just the full narrative of that whole situation. That's when he is like, okay, I'm now seeing what's going on here, and it's really excellent. But it's slightly pulled down the film, not by much, just slightly pulls it down. So yeah, a 9 out of 10, a high 9, loved it.
Yeah.
This is me setting the tone, right?
Right.
So
I thought your mic was
start
off.
with this. Oh, no.
Wow.
Nah, I ain't gonna do that.
Right.
Yeah, well, right?
Yeah.
So I'll kick things off like this, right? So while I stood in the now empty theater of, in Movie Town, where, the sole theater where this film was screened, right? And I stood there watching the credits, right? Taking in everything, right? Still holding on to that bit of piss that I had inside of me for like 2 hours straight. Because I decided that I could not sit through this show without eating or drinking something, right? Because, I can't just eat popcorn, dry, right? I'll choke, right? I don't want to, God forbid, die while watching a Martin Scorsese film, right? But while I sat there and I just saw those credits and took in the ambience of what was going on while those credits were rolling, I was just telling myself one thing. This is the best movie I've seen in 2023.
Okay, wow.
Hands down. The best thing I have seen in 2023. And this is coming from somebody who loves Oppenheimer.
I have one movie above it.
Nice.
Well, I have two movies above it, actually.
Okay. But I would say this, right? Like, right now, Killers of the Flower Moon takes the number one spot, boy. But I feel like Oppenheimer, like if I see it again, because I know it's coming out digitally and on home media next month, I would feel like if I give that second viewing, boy, it could be like right up there. So just letting you know one time, I may have a tie for best film of 2023, boy.
Oh, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's Killers, boy, right? Because just to start off on the length, right? I was concerned about the length. That's why I bought the drink and the popcorn in the first place, right? I told myself I'm gonna stick through the entirety of this, right? Now, why I bring up that whole thing about me standing up and watching the credits, right? Is that want to see the title and a film by Martin Scorsese, right? That's your instance to just leave and throw away the rest of popcorn and hit the bathroom, right? Nah, I stood there and took in everything
right.
until I saw Paramount. That was me. I was the only person there, right? And it wasn't just me just trying to prove a point, right? Like I could hold my bladder for X amount of time. No, it because of how that show really hit me, where the impact it left with me, right? No, it is not the best Scorsese film ever made, right? And I'm not gonna debate that, right? But it is certainly one of the best films that he's ever made, in my opinion, right? And just the mere fact that he did this at age 80 just blows my mind, right?
Right.
And the key to it, though, is that he held my interest for 3 hours and 36 minutes exact. Yeah. I don't know how he did it, but he did it, right?
No one in my theater went to the bathroom. It was kind of amazing to watch.
I saw a couple of people. There was actually, all right, like I was expecting like 2-3 people, honestly, but there was like about 10, 12 roughly. But yeah, I saw a couple people get up and go. I'm assuming they probably went to the concession stand, right? For all we know, right? I don't know. But yeah, some people got up and came back, right? But whatever. But I sat there, around the hour and a half, or I should say around the 2 hour break. That's when I felt, the old bladder thing sat. I was like, no, hold it in, goddammit, right? But yeah, I will admit though, it is one of those shows where yes, the time is justified, yes, and there's a lot that goes on. But there are a few instances, right? I just going off of my first viewing, right? Where a scene or two may go on for this a little too long, like they could just sort of trim it just a little bit, right? But I get what he's trying to say, right? Or what he's doing with those scenes. And you could tell, like, it's just Scorsese just taking his time. He's taking his sweet-ass time with this movie. He wants to get moments out. He wants to get certain things out of the way, so he does that, right? But yeah, I will confess that, yes, the runtime is challenging, right? But I came in, I rose to the occasion. I was like, all right, I just want to get my money's worth for this, right? And, what I said earlier about having to spend extra money just to get there, I got my money's worth and more, man. This is an achievement in my opinion, though. This is an amazing film, right? Performances, everybody, even Leo, everybody killed it, right? What I will say with Leo is that, like, he's not, especially when it comes to like his facial features. That's the way how his characters are portrayed in a Scorsese film. Yeah, it's the typical burden, weathered down character, right?
Right.
But you see it happen throughout the course of the film itself, right? But in no way was he doing something revolutionary or something new. Like case in point, as you brought up Robert De Niro, like this is not no Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta, where he becomes somebody totally different. Yes, it's Leo doing what Leo does in a Scorsese film, but I didn't mind it at all, right? But I can understand, like, his performance not really doing much for some people, and him being the weak link. I totally understand the criticism, right? De Niro is fantastic as William Hill, though.
Yep.
And he's so good that he wrote me in from the beginning. Kind of, they're like, all right, I know... I know something I know he on shit, right? But how it starts over the beginning is like, nah, he's cool. He's not on shit. Like, look at him. Like, look at how cool he is. I mean, he asking Ernest, because Ernest is his nephew, by the way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some kind of weird questions, but it's like, all right, well, he just breaking the ice, right? But eventually you realize how full of shit William is, and you're like, wow, boy. But it's how he always has like a comment, like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, like, it's about the bigger picture, it's about the greater good. Like, oh gosh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that. How he plays that to the very end worked for me, right? Lily Gladstone. She does not get an Oscar nomination, at least by the Oscars. She was fan-freaking-tastic in this. Yeah. This was the first time I've seen her on screen, though. Just what she does with her face. And as you said, Cece, with her eyes, though. It worked for me. Because she is worn down, even more than Leo's character is, right? And you feel that resilience, right? But you just know that it's a lot that she's being worn down with, right? But just how she kind of stands up and rises, though, that really got to me, boy. The losses that she experiences throughout this, God, really, really hit me, boy. My God, right? And it's just so unnatural how it happens, right? But I love how it connects to, just her people, right? The Osage, right?
Yeah.
And even that was set up brilliantly in the beginning of the film too. Yeah, just what they went through, right? And what they have to endure. Sorry to say this, with the arrival of the white man, right, on their property, right? And you really just see just how how something as, I don't want to say arbitrary, but something as beneficial to everybody as oil, could just cause some people to just be like, nah, you're not gonna get that oil. Yeah, I don't care if it's your land. I wanna take you out. I wanna get rid of you. Yeah, and they just go about it in violent ways, right? But to them it's just like, well, again, it's about the greater good. Right? I love how they set it up, right? In true Scorsese fashion, I like how they show the villainous people as just, we really don't know what it is. We really don't know what we're doing, but we kind of know we have to do it because
right,
good, right? I just love how like certain characters, like side characters, would just do these dumb, like they're given a job, right? That's all I'll say without spoiling
Oh
anything.
my god!
And they butch
No,
it
it's
so bad. But
it's
it's just
some
like,
of the
well,
most.
look, I didn't want to do this, like like give
These-
me money and shut up. It's just like that. I love
These are some of the most incompetent criminals I have
Right.
seen on screen in a hot minute, and it really becomes frustrating because you're like, the only reason they're getting away with this shit is because the sheriff is literally a member of the KKK.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
boy. Like
what's
the
up?
moment you see, like when I saw that sort of Birth of a Nation-esque paint in the background, I was like, all right,
I
Yep.
know.
this dude. Wow.
Whoa! It's like how to make sure we know that someone is the villain in like one shot.
Yeah.
Oh my
they
God.
do that very well, right? They even bring up some masonry. That's a slight spoiler into it as well too.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how real life masons are gonna respond to it though.
Right.
But I don't think it's meant to demonize them. But I guess how they're shown it is sort of like clandestine kind of way.
Right, right.
Some people might think, oh, well, masonry was, masons were up to no good even back then.
Right,
Blah blah blah.
right.
And it play on certain, stereotypes, if you will, right? But I think it works the story. The setting in particular, well, one scene that one involves the paddle, is very Lynchian. Like I saw that, especially
That-
if it takes
yeah,
place of
no, it
the
was.
floor. That's Twin Peaks. That's straight up Twin Peaks shit. But I love it nonetheless too. And just the moment was just so surreal. But it doesn't take it out of the film. But it's so dark in its humor as well, right? And on just to touch on that, just on the humor, even though it is very dark material, right? Very somber material. Yeah, there's moments of like dark humor in it as well. In particular, it just involves the criminals and just how they're trying to get away with things and how they're trying to push things under the rug and all that kind of stuff. That's where the dark humor come into as well, right? I can really buy into somebody like Ernest, played by Leo, getting suckered. Like he is suckered into it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, because he don't really know any better, he just goes along with it, right? But I love that they have that subplot with him and Lily Gladstone's character Molly, right? As a couple, as a married couple, right? And just that conflict between, him trying to do right by his uncle, but also wanting to do right by his wife, right? And you see how that plays out,
Right.
right? The cameos blew me away. The attorney that I mentioned, the prosecutor that I mentioned too, near the end too, which, by the way, that climax, that denouement, if you will, is amazing. My jaw dropped.
Yes.
It is one of the best things I've seen in film all year.
Yeah.
And just to touch on the final scene of it, right? So there was a book that I read recently. Well, I also I had the audiobook too, right? So I just sort of listen and read at the same time, right? About Martin Scorsese's filmography, right? And they mentioned for Killers of the Flower Moon, they mentioned that it was in production.
Right.
They mentioned that he got the right to film this moment. And outside of that, nobody would have gotten the opportunity to even put that on screen at all.
Wow.
Right? And
Right.
yeah, Martin got through with that, right? And I just say all right, I just expecting this thing to be like this, elongated sequence, right? Something that runs for like a 2-3 minutes or whatever. But it's just one moment, and that's how it's shown, how it's presented though. Wow, that hit me.
So
that was brilliant, right? I would put that up there, slight spoiler, to the end of Schindler's List.
Right.
If you remember
Right.
the end of
Right.
Schindler's
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Very good comparison. Yes.
That's what
Very
it
good
is.
comparison.
Oh,
That's what it is.
hell
That's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah. And speaking of I'm wrapping up, right? And speaking of audiobooks and stuff like that, right? I started on Killers of the Flower Moon, right? In preparation for this movie.
Okay.
'Cause I was excited as hell for this, right? And what's so interesting about how Scorsese and Eric Roth adapted it, right? Is that it's not how the book is. It's a true crime thing, right? So it's from the perspective of the FBI, and
Right.
this is what happened, and this is what the murders and what led to what. It actually starts with the death of somebody close to Molly, right? Slight spoiler if you haven't read that first chapter, right? But yeah, for Scorsese to flip it now and say, no, I want it from the perspective of the Osage, and more particularly the characters who are involved before the FBI even shows up, right? I thought that was a really smart call, right? Because you had to think about it like that, right? Like it would have been easy to just adapt the film just page for page, but no.
Oh yeah.
oh, I have these big actors here after giving them stuff to do, right? And well, that's what Scorsese does, right? Of course, it's Martin, right? So directing is strong throughout. Though I love how he does these little old timey things to kind of make it suit the time. So like
There's
you'll
a
see,
there's a clever there's a clever thing they do in the beginning. They have the footage, and then the footage fades into the crossfade into the shot into the bus.
into the shots.
Oh, that
In the
was
beginning?
That was great.
Yeah, it's a simple little
Yeah.
thing, but it's so clever. Like they had the old footage and then they cut it in. I was like, okay, Marty, you're cooking.
You are absolutely cooking.
Martin know what he doing, right?
Exactly.
Also points to the late great Robbie Robertson for his score for this, right?
Rest
okay.
in
I
peace.
like that. It's very, for me. It was rather unconventional.
Yeah.
right? But I like that it draws from old time blues. And you just hear like I believe it's like a bass guitar. So like every time like moments start to get like slow, like slowly intense, like building in intensity, you would hear it, right? I felt like there's that they kind of use a particular motif a little bit too much though. That's really sort of bass guitar thing. But again, it's all about building, it's setting the tone and whatnot. But it works, right? I like that he actually shouts out Robbie at the very end. He does a
Yes.
R.I.P. Shout out to him in the credits, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean everybody everybody killed it. Jesse Plemons, right?
Right.
He
Oh
was
my
great in
God,
it
yes.
as well. I mean, yeah, he was fantastic. I just love how unnaive he is, right?
Oh.
When, the moment he shows up, it's just like, yeah, I know some shady shit going on, and you don't want to tell me? All right,
Yeah.
I'll find out.
He
I'll find out.
not peg him.
I'll
He not peg him by time Leo opened that door.
Yeah, that moment is hilarious. By the way, just how deadpan it is. Like, yeah, I don't know, just come back Friday. And it's
That
on Friday.
whole-
Like, all right.
That whole scene, I'm sitting there and I'm like, does Ernest know he just put himself at the top of the suspect list? Like,
Exactly. He's so dutish. Yeah, he's so
The moment he
dutish.
just says, come back Friday, just come back Friday. It's like, oh,
no, you
gosh,
definitely
really?
can't come in and talk to my wife who you want investigation with the murder of her family. She's not feeling well. Come back
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. So
That
dutish.
was so hilarious to me, man. I love that.
I
And
love.
I also go on.
No, I was about to say, I love how one of my favorite things about the film is that, like, because the FBI is a literal new department that has just been set up.
Yeah, they had to
all
prove
these-
this out.
Well, all these people also don't know how it works, so they don't
Exactly
know.
right.
That
Yeah. It's a new concept to them now.
They don't know they don't know they're incriminating themselves. They don't.
Exactly. Right.
They don't know that they're giving evidence.
It's
of, like,
unprecedented criminal. Yeah, from a criminal standpoint, that's completely unprecedented. Because
Yeah,
it's not
and they're-
accustomed to small town shenanigans, though.
yeah, they're so and like to just bribing local law enforcement and
Right.
like not having to
Right.
take it all seriously, and also being such like bad criminals that their like evidence is like right out in the open. Like
Yeah.
literally the FBI agents talking to the doctors and going like, so was there any particular reason that you like cut up the body into little pieces
Right.
and
Yeah.
burned it? Like,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, right. But I also love the fact that we have I assume they are of the Osage Nation as well. Yeah, actors. Well,
Yeah, all the little side guys.
play-
You saw some good side people. Yeah. Great.
especially
there's actually a great not a courtroom scene, like a tribal meeting
Yes.
sequence, right?
That's a good scene. Yeah.
Brilliant
they just
scene.
you're in on this one guy, right? And he's just talking about, they're just murdering us left and right, and look at what we've done over the years, and don't trust the white man, right? And we have to do something about that. That scene is incredibly
so-
powerful. I love that Scorsese
I
just
think-
let it run for as long as it could,
Yes.
as long as it needed to go to, right? Without hitting us over the head with its point.
Mhm.
Really
I think-
things. I love that.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, every single person who Scorsese only cast Osage people, even non-actors, to play the Osage in this movie, which is interesting because it ends up not having most times when you see a lot of most times I'm almost used to anytime a movie with a lot of Native Americans comes out, I'm used to a certain short list of actors that I expect to see,
Right.
Like the guy who the guy who played Slipknot in Ayer's Suicide Squad. for
Adam Beach.
example. Adam Beach.
Adam Beach.
West-
Adam Beach is always sharp. Yeah.
Yeah, West Studi.
And he's a
another
great
one.
actor. He's a great actor.
great
but,
actor.
I don't come out. It's only Adam Beach come out. Yeah.
And then so actually this is but to see actors like that completely absent from the movie, it just helps that immersion just so much.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's wrapping up, right? So cinematography, of course, is fantastic though. Just love the visuals in this. The editing, I mean, shout out to the OG herself, Thelma Schoonmaker, boy,
Right.
once again showing why
Queen.
if not the greatest editor, like film editor of all time, right? I just love that, because she's so in tune with Scorsese, right? So like, of course, if you're familiar with shows like Goodfellas is a perfect example. Yeah, you'll have characters talk and you'll mention some moment of violence, right, or some incident that happened, and you'll just show the moment, right, and just cut back to it, and it just do it a lot in this, but it absolutely works in the context of this film, right? Just in terms of what it's trying to say, right? And last thing before I get to rating, right? The runtime itself, right? Again, I think that it is justified, even though there's I felt a few scenes could have been shaved down or whatnot, right? But for some reason, while I was watching this, I was comparing it to The Godfather Part 2, right?
Yes.
Francis Ford Coppola, right? And I think that's like the perfect film to compare that to, right? Because actually, Godfather Part 2 is shorter, right? Even though you could see they're both 3.5 hour long films, right? But Godfather 2 is relatively shorter, right? But why I bring this up, right, is because, for some people, like, especially who go to see this theatrically, right, they will be intimidated by the runtime, right? And in my head I was wondering, just out of curiosity, like I was wondering if you'll get an intermission similar to The Godfather Part 2, right?
Right.
Now there's a scene, right? Sort of a blink and you miss it scene with Leo, right? And the scene sort of just dissolves to black, and then the scene resumes after that, right? Now, thematically, I understand why they did that, but for me, sorry, I was wondering if that was meant to be the act break, right?
Probably, yeah.
Or I should say, this is the end of Act 2, so, go and take a break and then come back and see what happens afterwards, right? So I don't know if when it comes out on Apple TV, if they'll just put some intermission title card or something. So I highly doubt that, right? Because, it's streaming, right? So there's no need for that, right? But for some reason, I see it both as the end of Act 2 and as sort of a intermission, so
Right.
go do your thing and then come back. It was kind of unique, right? But that's how I see it, right? And I will confess also, that's just last little minor nitpick though. There are, the Oscar moments, right? So like it with Leo, where it's like, all right, he is really acting his ass off, dread. And like when they do the little highlight reel for, when he's hopefully nominated for an Oscar,
I know
they'll
about
show
that, but yeah.
that key moment, right? Like, there's a moment where he reacts emotionally to a moment. I'm not going to say what it is, right? They're going to zero in on that, perhaps. I don't know, right? But there's that. So the point again, that is like, it's not Oscar baity, but I could see some people looking at some moments and be like, yeah, that's there for the Oscar and that there for the Oscar. But it's to be expected in films like this, right? And yeah, just to get into my final thoughts, if this show doesn't get nominated for Oscar, something is clearly
very
wrong with the Academy, boy. But my pick right now for a winner has to be Lily Gladstone, though, because she stole the show. She was amazing in this. I do see a bright future in terms of her career, right? I really do need to check up like the recent stuff that she was in. I hope that Leo and De Niro get nominated. I would be surprised if Leo doesn't get nominated, but I thought that he did a great job in this, right? But as I said, Ricardo, it'll be great seeing De Niro and Downey Jr. just go head to head as best supported actor, because they were great. Just two scummy white men, though. So I will take that way as far as film experiences, right? And this movie was an experience for me, man. I will remember holding my pee 2 hours into the film, right? To see this thing to the very end, though. But I was entertained from start to end. I do hope that this movie comes out hopefully by year's end, but because of I know there's going to be a Oscar push for this, I won't be surprised if it comes out, I don't know, in January or whatever, right? Because I don't think there has been a release, I feel it'll be like how we call it Macbeth was. It come in the New Year or Christmas or something, sorry. Right? Yeah. And as you say, Tragedy of Macbeth, though, because that would have been my favorite film of that year had I not had to wait until it came out on Apple TV to see it. But what I would just say though, for those who are still hesitant about seeing the film, I would say you have to go in knowing what to expect. You go in knowing that runtime. Once you go in with that, you prepare yourself, and you just see what it does for you, right? But if you know you can't handle that length, that's okay. I would say wait till it comes out on Apple TV, right? But it's just the question of when it comes out, because I don't know, because they haven't released a release date as yet, right? But that being said, as a theatrical release, though, this is one that I'm going to remember for a long period of time. And yeah, this is right up there with Oppenheimer as just a crowning achievement as far as film goes, right? But right now, this is number one for me. But I feel like once I rewatch Oppenheimer, boy, it might share that same spot as far as number one, right?
Okay.
So around long enough for me, around long enough, right? But yeah, I absolutely enjoyed this film. For me, rating-wise, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5.
Nice, man.
Yes, you heard it, folks. See this movie before you die. This is one of the best things I've
Yes.
seen in years. Martin Scorsese will go down as one of the greatest filmmakers ever made. I wouldn't say the greatest, but yeah, one
Right.
of the greatest
Yeah.
filmmakers
Oh,
ever
yeah.
made, though. And this show is a testament to that, man. So see it theatrically, but again, if you know that runtime is going to be an issue, or I guess, if it's not close to where you're at, I guess wait until it comes out on Apple TV. But for me, just having to spend money to go and see it theatrically, it was absolutely worth it for me, man.
Did your screening begin with the little video from Scorsese thanking you for coming to see it in theaters?
No, I didn't get that.
No, but
Oh,
wish
I don't remember
I'm-
getting it. No.
Ours got that.
You
I was
suck.
I was so warmed. I was
Okay.
like, because all he did is he just a little video saying like, "Hi, I'm Martin Scorsese. Thank you for it took a long time for us to make this movie. Thank you for supporting it in theaters." I was like, "Oh, you're welcome, Martin."
That is awesome, man. That's awesome. So yes, Tracy, you've heard it from all three of us. Go see this film, right? But again,
I have heard it.
just keep in mind that runtime, eh? Just keep in mind that runtime.
I know. I kind of know how to plan when I have to go see like long films.
Oh, yeah.
So to speak. So I will be doing that. And Salt is also your friend. You'll just absorb everything. It's not science, but that's how I interpret it in my.
Right. Yeah.